guys, I hope you're having a great day. If you hear a little bit of background noise, I have laundry going, so I apologize if it's picking that up in the video. But in this video, I'm going to be working on our kitchen table. So I mentioned in a previous video, I was thinking about bringing in my old table that matches my hutch and my sideboard. And it's something that I redid years ago, but it took up so much space in our kitchen. I was really wanting something smaller, and it just so happened our washing machine had quit about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we were in a furniture / appliance store, and they had a smaller size table with stools. They were counter height, and I just really liked it and thought it would fit really nicely in our kitchen and with my style. We bought it and I really did like it. However, it would only seat 4 people, and you could definitely squish in one more, but it just wasn't comfortable. And so when we have extra guests at our home, it's just not the best situation. So I decided, I have my old table, we can expand it much larger. It actually has 3 leaves, so it can get quite massive. And so we switched them out. We had a really nice day. I brought that table back inside, put the other set in the living room just out of the way, and we lived with the other table with 1 leaf in it just to see if we could stand that big size back in the kitchen. We don't really need the leaf in it, but if I'm gonna redo the table again, I want to redo at least 1, maybe 2 leaves. I don't really anticipate that we'll ever need the 3rd one, but I may go ahead and do that one as well. So we'll just see what I decide on that. But we've lived with the table in the kitchen for a while now. My son came to visit over Easter, and it just worked out really nicely. And so we decided we liked the old table better. So I went ahead, sold the other table, and now it's time to get this table matching the hutch and the side. The dinette set was the first thing that I redid. I just didn't like that orangish shade of a wood, but it took me a long time to go ahead and tackle the sideboard and the china hutch. But I'm so glad that I did, because I just love the look of them. The style just matches so much better in our home, and I'm just really pleased with how they turned out. So here's a look at the table in the kitchen, and I do have one of the leaves in the table, and so you can see the original color of the table, and this is the color I darkened it to. But let me show you the hutch. So you can see how dark I made the hutch right there. So I definitely want to darken up the table. I'm not sure if I'm going to go quite that dark or not, but I want it to be a lot closer. And then as you can see, there's the chairs, and they are a little bit beat up just from being out in the garage and kind of moved around. And so I want to touch those up, and then I think I may end up looking for some slimmer chairs so that I could put 2 on each side and 1 on each end, or maybe 1 on each end and then a bench along the wall, something. So we don't really need that extra leaf in the table. I could take that out, squish this together, and it would free up more space in here, but I actually kind of like the large size that this offers. So for right now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave it, but I'm definitely gonna get this redone, and I may go ahead redo the other leaves as well, just in case we ever need that space so everything matches. So when my husband comes home for lunch, I'm gonna ask him to help me take this outside so that I can get to work sanding it. I do not want to do that in the house, and then we will get to work on it. So before I get to work on the table, I wanted to backtrack a couple of days and show you the clock that I found for the kitchen. Well, it's actually for the gray wall that's in between the kitchen and the living room. I had mentioned previously that I wanted to find a white clock. Walmart actually had a couple of different options. I had looked several places, but these were budget friendly, and I really did like this one with that beaded edge. And so here I'm just taking it out of the package, put the battery in, and I will get it hung up on the wall. And as you can see, this was when the other table was tucked in the living room, so that we could make up our minds on the old table, and if we really wanted to go back to that one and have that extra space, which ultimately we did decide to do. But I'm really pleased with this clock. I think it's really pretty in this space. So I have the table outside, I have my sander and different grits of sandpaper that I'm going to be using, and then I put all 3 leaves in the table so it is ready to go. And like I said, this table gets extremely large, but I decided to go ahead, do all of the leaves, so just in case we ever need it, they all match, and it will be ready to use. So let's get to work. So sanding this table took me a while. It took me a really long while, and I changed out the sandpaper many times. So basically I just started with a heavier grit sandpaper and went down to a very fine one to get a smoother finish, and then I started in with stain, and I was using dark walnut. So I started by staining the top of the table and just painting it on, wiping it off, and continued to work my way all along the table. I did want it a lot darker and I ran out of stain, but I wanted to get this done because we were supposed to have storms this evening. So I ended up using some black paint and going over the table just really lightly in different areas. And it was also kind of hard to see how dark it was actually getting when I was outside in the bright sunlight. It didn't really look as dark as what it looks like when it's in the house. I absolutely love how it turned out, but obviously this is not a DIY. This is just how I redid our table. And then while the table was drying, I went in and touched up the chairs just using some black paint. So here is how the table looks right now, and let me show you a little bit closer. So I did go ahead and use one of the leaf inserts, and so far I think I'm going to leave it like this, but I may eventually take it out if I feel like this is taking up too much space or we just don't need it. But I actually like having this large size in here. And the other 2 leaf inserts I actually put in my craft room, and I'm going to tuck those inside the closet so that if we need them, they are there, they are ready to use. Overall, I'm really glad that I made this decision and brought out the old table, and I'm going to keep an eye out for some chairs. I'm not in a big hurry to find some, but I am going to think about it and see what I want to do. If I want to just add a bench to one side and move 2 of the chairs to each end, or look for some new chairs. So I really want at least to be able to sit 6 easily at the table, and so that's something I'm going to be keeping an eye out for and just seeing what's available. But right now, like I said, I'm not in a big hurry, but I'm really pleased with how this turned out, and I think it looks really nice with the hutch. So here's another look at the before, and you can see the original color in there in the leaf of the table, and then the after. And like I said, I am really pleased with how it turned out. And I know it's probably not typical where a person would use paint after using stain, but like I said, I wanted to get it done, and I have done this before and it's worked out just fine. And I did seal it in the end with 2 coats of satin polyacrylic, so I think it's going to be just fine. It's kind of an experiment, but I think it's going to be just fine, and I love how it turned out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, comment to let me know. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day, and thanks for watching.